I'm here speaking to the Honorable RACY Matthew on two issues that really comes up very important in today's world topic. First, we're going to speak about same-sex marriage with President Obama. He had confided that he now sees and agrees with his personal opinion, same-sex marriage. And also, international reggae artist, Natural Blacks, cutting off his dreadlocks, justifying employment for food for his children. Welcome to the set.
Greetings and blessings.
It's a long time I've not seen you, RACY. I mean, you know, yes. I know you're very busy and there's a number of things coming up. We'll discuss that a little bit later. But how are you doing today?
I'm good, doing the work of His Imperial Majesty and the works of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. If the world was following these two great leaders, then the world would be such a utopic world. Then, you know, we would call it paradise.
Okay. All right, the first thing first. The President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama, recently in the newscast interview, has stated that his personal opinion, that he believes, based on the fact that he did a number of studies, a number of research in regards to his troop working hard, dying in the fields, they're not getting any recognition, they're not able to reveal their sexuality and to exercise their right to love members of the same sex and marry members of the same sex. And for quite some time he was a little bit hesitant in coming forward, but now he has come forward to the world and has says yes, he agrees and supports same-sex marriage. What are your thoughts on that, the President of the United States?
Well, I must say the President of the United States have let down black people and have let down humanity. Two men cannot produce life. Two women cannot produce life. And the biblical teachings, and he said America is a Christian country. It tells you that it is an abomination. How can you in any wildest dream uphold a same-sex marriage? What you are saying is that you want to destroy humanity. Because in 100 or 200 years time, there will be no more humans. Because we would not be producing anymore. So we are totally against it. The UNIA is totally against homosexuality. And let's call it its name. It is homosexuality. So we are against it. And we cry shame on President Obama, a man with black genes, coming from the African race to uphold such a thing and condone such a thing. We condemn it.
As you hear, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here speaking with the Honorable RACY Matthew. He's the president of the UNIA, the St. Andrew chapter. And this is his view of how he sees it, based on his growing up and based on his leadership of the UNIA and the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party. He made some points, RACY Matthew, in regards to that he has now become more sensitized to the fact that his troops are out there dying to protect his country and his people and to uphold law and order for other people in other countries. And for far too long he has been sidestepping, you know. So he thinks now, remember, this is also a political year for him. He's going into election come November of this year. So he's saying that based on these facts that, you know, people have died for him, people should be given the right, even though it's against the law in about, what, 40 different states I think is against the law. What do you say to that? Him being sensitive, showing some kindness, some softness there as a president.
Well, his softness and his kindness, the sensitivity, should be targeted towards fixing these people, because these people are maladjusted. They have an aberration. And we have to understand that these are sick people. It has been proven scientifically to show that there's an imbalance in their hormones, and this is why something is coming out that they have, as a male, is being attracted to another male. It's because an imbalance of their XY chromosomes.
So it's not a practice that is taught then. It's a practice that comes from within the genes, the imbalance of these genes.
Initially, but what you find now, it has become a fad that they are doing it, and youngsters, as they say, children live what they learn.
Exactly.
And Hollywood has bombarded the television and the screens with a lot of homosexual relationships. So the eyes is the window of the mind, and when these children are going around and seeing these things, it look normal to them. It is being taught in American school that same-sex couples are normal. So children will grow up very impressionable and will want to say, I want to become a same-sex couple. We have to remember Sodom and Gomorrah and what happened there. And these countries are saying that they are Christian countries, and yet still they are practicing unchristian behavior. It is just not good for humanity. And if you put it at the worst case scenario, as I said earlier, if it is allowed to happen and it becomes so fashionable, then what you're going to find is that in 200 to 300 years time, the human being will go the way of the dinosaur, because there will be no more reproduction taking place. Man will be lying with man and will not be producing children. Woman will be lying with women and not producing children. And then when those generations die out, that's it. The human race
is extinct.
Cease to exist like the dinosaurs. So we cannot condone that in no form or shape, or even think about accepting it and saying, take this part of the world for yourself. No. N-O, no way.
No way. Ladies and gentlemen,
they are sick and they need to be mended.
So what kind of, if you was to say the President of the United States, how would you approach such a question? Because in recent times, it was asked by our now Jamaican Prime Minister, right, the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, if she would accept homophobics or homosexuals in her cabinet. Well, and the rest is history. You know what her response was.
We have to seriously sometimes think, what does it gain a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? The soul is what lasts forever. The body will decay, but the soul,
the inner part, that inner
you
lives on forever.
Lives on forever. And this is what we are saying. You must be someone that is wholesome in your thoughts, in your minds, and in your action. We have a book that had been down through the ages. I hesitated to say the Bible, because I go beyond the Bible. We go to the early treatises and chronicles that we had in Africa. And these are the things from Ma'at, the goddess Ma'at, the goddess of justice, that taught us. This is where the 10 Commandments is coming from, the 42 admonitions of goddess Ma'at.
So what you're saying then, the 10 Commandments did not originally derive from the Bible, that book, as you said?
No.
It came before that.
The 10 Commandments came from what we call the 42 admonitions, the negative confessions of goddess Ma'at. These are the teachings, and we must remember that Moses, if you read the Bible carefully, Moses was taught in the ways of the African priests. Moses had to go into Africa. We have to remember these things. Moses married an Ethiopian wife. We have to remember these things, because the white world came upon the teachings of the African people. And in 325 AD, this is when Jesus came into being. 325 AD at the Nicene Conference, that the bishops came and said, we need to have a name that we can give the people to worship. Before you had Jesus, you had Serapis. The first people that were known as Christians were worshippers of Serapis.
Okay.
And these are things that are engraved in the walls of the pyramid. This is not books that people can distort. These are things that are etched in
the walls
stone.
In stone, yes.
Unchangeable for thousands of years. And this is where we go, our scholars go and read. Learn to read the hieroglyphics.
So
and
books like the Dead Sea Scrolls and all those other artifacts that they have now preserved as biblical facts. The wall came before all of that.
All of them. All of them came from what was etched in the walls. And this is why we are saying we must start to reconnect with our African ancestors, because these are the people that gave life to the world. Professor Leakey, the great archaeologist that went into Africa himself and his wife and said mankind started in Africa. Without a shadow of doubt. Martin Bernal followed. Francis Champollion, the Frenchman, he followed. All of them. But in showing the world, the first university that was built in Europe was built by Africans. We taught the Europeans. Pythagoras, quite recently I saw something in the Gleaner bigging up Pythagoras and Herodotus and Diodorus. All of these Greek scholars learned what they learned in Africa, and none of them finished their studies in Africa. They should have studied for 40 years. Pythagoras studied for only 22 years. Diodorus, Siculus, Herodotus. The great Hippocrates that they say is the father of medicine, he studied the works of Imhotep, the first multi-genius of the world. And these are things that are substantiated by white researchers, white historians that have gone in and studied the chronicles. But these are not common in our schools, and this is why we are saying, or Mr. Garvey said it first, education is not what you get in a classroom. We have to start to educate ourselves outside of the classroom, because these things are not taught in the classroom. We have to understand the white man want to control what you know. And this is why great professors now are telling their students, you must learn to think outside of the box. The box is what the white man gave you, enclosed you in that box.
Yes.
But to be brilliant, you must learn to think outside of the box.
Positive words coming from the Honorable RACY Matthews. To be brilliant, you must think outside of the box. Don't take anything for granted. I'm here having a wonderful one-on-one chat with my friend, the Honorable RACY Matthews, on a number of issues that has been affecting us worldwide. Of course, we spoke on the President of the United States is agreeing with same-sex marriage. Now we're going to touch something that is now on our home base. We're talking about international recording artist Mortimer Softly, aka Natural Blacks. Recently he was on a program, Winford William on stage, and he was sporting a natural haircut. His hair was a little bit twisted, but all the locks are gone. And his reasons for cutting his locks is he's now not Natural Blacks anymore, but Mortimer Audley, a dancehall DJ, and he sees himself better able to take care of his children if he cuts his locks and adapt the dancehall principles. What are your views on that?
Culture. We are from a culture that has emanated from creation, from the Most High. And when you want to throw that away and take on something which is a pseudo culture that has been impacted upon you by the slavery period, when we were forced to trim our locks and forced to do certain things. Now, locks is not making you make money or not make money. It is what comes from inside the kingdom. The kingdom of God resides inside every man. And if you cannot be that creative genius that God wants you to be, that He gave you that great computer known as the brain. Ziggy Marley wears his locks and is making money and feeding his children. Damian Marley
Sister Kalanji.
Many other
Many
artists
other, Anthony B.
are wearing their locks proudly and still making money. But there comes a time when some people inspect themselves inside and find themselves wanting and want to cast blame, will blame the only thing that they see in a negative light, and that is locks.
Can I ask you a question, as you mentioned? How long have you been sporting dreadlocks or locks? And have you ever been in a situation where you're discriminated against because of the fact that you're a Rastafarian and you're wearing locks? How long first?
I started to wear my locks in 1996. 1996, after I left Air Jamaica as an aeronautical engineer. After leaving Air Jamaica, I decided to, and I've always been doing some studies on Africa. I had a near-death experience in 1992, and I said I would not want to die and not know the truth about Jesus and what is the truth. All these different religions claiming that I am the right way, whether you're a Roman Catholic or a Presbyterian or a Baptist. So I started to do research in comparative religion, studying Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity. And all of my search that I did always led me back to Africa.
Every research that you did led you straight back?
Every research. There's a book known as the 16 Crucified Saviors, telling you about saviors that were worshipped before Christ, before the Jesus that we know that came into being. And you see, if the research was done in a proper way, today we know dates of things that happened before the so-called person of Jesus was born. Today they can't tell you when Jesus was born. They say he was born either 4 BC up to 7 AD. 11 years, they give a 11 years period. Because it was something that was concocted at the Nicene Conference of Bishops in 325 AD.
Wow.
Before 325 AD, no one can say that a savior named Jesus existed. No one. I challenge anyone to bring proof to me. Any Christian, practicing Christian, prove to me. And I will take them into Galatians in the Bible, where it tells you that Abraham is an allegory. The word is in there. An allegory is something that has been made up. It is in the Bible, but they don't read it. They don't touch that one. It is in the Bible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a very edifying, educated, international, intellectual reasoning with the genius, the Honorable RACY Matches. We still want to hear more. We're curious. We hunger for knowledge. And these books that you are privileged to, or these knowledge, how can it be simmered down to us? Or where can we locate it? Thank God for the internet. Now we can find some of these things on the internet. But where did you get all this magnificent knowledge from?
When I left Air Jamaica in 1994, for 2 years I traveled in America, Canada, all over, searching for these books, getting these books. And out of all that research that I did, it brought me to that consciousness. And it showed all the lies that have been told by the white world, the Christian world. Before the King James Bible, 200 years, and people think the King James Bible is the first Bible. But we must understand, it is a version. The King James version.
Right. So they must have been
authorized by King James.
Right.
Before King James, there was the William Tyndale version, done 200 years before King James, written in English.
Wow.
You had the Miles Coverdale version, the Dewey's Rain version. There were actually about 100 different versions of the Bible before the King James version.
Why did the King James version become so popular though? What was it about the King James version?
Why the King James version became popular is because of the barbarism that was practiced by the British army that traveled the world, and you notice we speak English very eloquent in Jamaica.
Yes.
And we are not British subjects. English can be found in Africa, in India. These plunderers went all around the world and plundered and killed and maimed and placed upon these people their language and their customs. And this is why I speak English and not Swahili.
Wow.
So we took on the persona of the English. Remember, our schools, the books that we learned from were written by these English people. So they controlled all the information that you had. Your reality is shaped by these people, because all the books that you were afforded to be read, the exams that you had to study to pass, were all set by them. So they control your identity. And this is why Mr. Garvey in his wisdom said, education must be gotten outside of the classroom. Outside, and this is why I had to educate myself outside the classroom.
Outside of that box.
I actually went to the university and challenged a white professor that was there lecturing to university, black university students, and telling them that the African's mind, black people's mind, is smaller and intellectually beneath the white man's mind.
Wow.
There's a book written by a white man known as The Bell Curve that was saying that the white man is superior to the black man. And I challenged him and I brought things to him that he had to accede. I am that way. If I go and I hear things and it is not proper, it is not right, I'm going to challenge it. And this is where we are at now in the world. We are at a time period now when black people have to come up and challenge to get their real identity. Mr. Garvey had a saying, the African fundamentalism, and he said the time is now when we must cast away the worship of white people and their white edifices and create our own. And this is what we are doing. We are in the process of creating the black people's identity.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in awe, and I'm happy because at least we're getting more knowledge. Because that's what we hunger for, especially here in Jamaica, our country. We hunger and lack real knowledge, and that's why the teaching and the philosophies of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey is a must. Ranitway, Honorable Minister Ranitway, the other day, what happened in regards to Marcus Garvey's teaching now becoming mandatory in all grades, if that's the case?
Well, we must be very wary of these types of politicians. Politics is the science of governance of man. But the type of politicians that we have today are what we call charismatic leaders, that they lead for their own ends. They don't lead for the ends of lifting up the people and enlightening the people and liberating the people. And if you notice, Jamaica is a society divided. The have and the have-nots, or the elitists and the people of the inner city. And we must stop these things. When we find in Jamaica a politician from St. Andrew representing people from St. James or Hanover, what you are saying is that the 30,000 people in that constituency, there's no one in the constituency bright enough to represent the people. It is an insult. It is an insult to the people. But it is a throwback from the colonial days when England said black people in Jamaica were not bright enough to govern themselves, so we send you a white governor to govern you because you were not bright enough to govern yourself. It is the same principle being used on our people today, that the people in St. James is not bright enough to represent themselves, so we are sending you a bright person from St. Andrew. It is all politics, as my brother Peter Tosh would say.
So, but you welcome though, you welcome with open arms the fact that, because that's what we've been fighting for.
Yes.
For the teachings to be told.
Yes, but why I took that long route is to tell you this, that the person that Mr. Thwaites called upon to say he would be part of the teaching. When we spoke to him, he said he has not been approached.
Oh.
So it is to raise the aspirations of the people, get them excited, but there's no truth in it. There's no truth in it. What he should have done was to put things on the parliament floor.
Exactly.
Put the motion on the floor, debate it, pass it, that we know it is serious.
So it's not serious.
It is not serious. In 1996, I met with Arnold Bertram, and he said the same thing, that we would put it in the schools. I said to him, we have the curriculum ready. He said, yes, we will give you $3 million to perfect it and put it in the schools. I said to him, give it to me in writing. I've not gotten it in writing to today. Politics.
Politics, politics. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here right underneath this coconut tree and ackee tree, reasoning with one of Jamaica's best. One of our learned brothers, a brother that I look up to, a brother that I appreciate and admire a whole lot. I wish we had more time because he's somewhat busy taking care of a lot of things this errand. What's in the pipeline about this raffling that you're talking about and this new movement, the new raffle thing that you have going on? Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Well, we have to in everything you need money in this type of world. You need money. It's an economic world. So we want to start the Marcus Garvey quiz in schools. That is one way of getting the children to know more about Marcus Garvey, the philosophies, the philosophies and the opinions of Marcus Garvey. So we want to raise $1 million to start the quiz. We had the quiz some years ago. Kingston College is the reigning champion, and Meadowbrook High School came second. Vast Preparatory School in the preparatory section was first. Now we saw it as a big boost to create an identity and an image. Now we want to have it next year back in our schools, the Marcus Garvey quiz. In so doing, the Marcus Garvey Communities League is putting on a raffle. It should be July 28th. And we would love to get this raffle very successful to raise the $1 million that we can start the quiz, the Marcus Garvey quiz in schools. And we hope to expand it to other territories in the Caribbean. We are starting with Jamaica because Jamaica is the land of Mr. Garvey's birth. But and I tell you, in the past, someone from the United States that attended one of the quiz at the Medallion Hall Hotel wanted us to have it in New York.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we want to make these links again, and hopefully by next year we should have the quiz up and running in Jamaica, and possibly by the following year in some of our Caribbean islands and in New York.
Very well said. Is there any link that we can add? Or probably when we do the editing of this interview, we could probably under the description put the link as to how people can get the raffle tickets.
Yes, yes, that can be added. Yes.
Later. Okay. It's a pleasure once again speaking with you, Mr. Matthews. It's always a pleasure rapping and chatting with you and gaining knowledge, of course. And we thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, man.
In parting though, what would you want to say to our fellow Jamaicans in regards to our reverence, same-sex, and our reverence of Rastafari?
We must remember, we are Africans and we come from a great people, the founders of humanity. And we must always remember that the African is the closest one to the Creator. Right? All the sciences that you can use to trace the origins of man takes us to Africa. So we are a very proud people. We must stop looking at the European beauty, because, you know, we should have touched this where our young girls are trying to look like this white woman. This image that they create every year as this Miss World. This Miss World who is the most beautiful woman in the world. That's their concept of beauty. The African concept of beauty is different. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So let not our black girls try to look like a white woman. No. You have your inner beauty. Please strive for that beauty. The black man, you have your inner majesty. the way His Imperial Majesty carried himself, the way Marcus Garvey carried himself, we must always try to rise to that level of dignity and pride. Lift the black banner high. One God, one aim, one destiny.
Rastafari. Give thanks for watching. Give thanks for make your comments, whatever comments. You know, we're always welcome for you to make your comments. We don't care how you feel. We just want to get a feedback of how you see us. Remember, this is his philosophy, his feeling, his personal opinion of how he sees these things. And also, the teaching of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Same-sex marriage is a no-no for him. Can't use it. Simple as that. A pleasure talking to you. Over.